Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, good morning. Consideration of agenda items. Any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Hearing none, move to approve the agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Payment of the bills.
Mr. Chair, I move the payment of the bills.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Kruger for payment of the bills in the amount of $113,990.97. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our COVID update. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm flying solo today. So as of yesterday, at around noon, we had 426 positive cases in McLeod County since the start of the pandemic, with 51% being male, 49% being female. We had our county's second COVID-19 related death occur this past Saturday, the 12th of September. We currently have no residents hospitalized due to COVID-19, which is a good win for us and move in the right direction. 389 or 91% of those who have tested positive are out of isolation. So we have very few still in isolation, which is also a positive and a move in the right direction. Our cumulative rate of testing per 10,000 is 2,315 for the county, 2,960 for the state. Our cumulative positive rates, test rates for McLeod County, 4.5%, and for the state, 5.4%. A race of those testing positive is staying pretty steady at 54% white or non-Hispanic, 41% identifying as Hispanic or Latinx, and less than 1% identifying as Black, and the remainder not reporting a race. Our location of positive COVID-19 cases stays about the same, with 47% in Glencoe, 30% in Hutchinson, 7% Lester Prairie, 6% Winstead, 6% Silver Lake, and around the 1% for Stewart, Plato, and Brownton. Any questions for me?
Any questions for Barrett?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ron.
Barrett, we got to have some dialogue here.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. I'm really glad to hear that we have none of our county residents hospitalized, and that, to me, that's an important factor. That we've come a long way that we know how to treat the circumstances of COVID before it gets critical and requires hospitalization. So, with public health nursing, are they assisting some of these positive cases, giving them guidance on how to stay, or regain their health?
Yes, and just a note, our first person who was COVID-19 positive and hospitalized just last week was able to leave the hospital. So they spent about, I think it was like 99 days in the hospital. So they've been released successfully, so that's good. Yes, our public health, we have a team that continues to do contact investigation or case investigation, contact tracing. And so that's a nice local touch where our nurses would contact the people who've been identified positive, ask them, all the appropriate questions for contact tracing, also offer essential services. If you're in isolation and you need food or medication or anything, we can assist with that. So that's been going very well.
All right. Thank you.
Anything else? Our sympathies to the family.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Sheila,
Thank you.
anything?
I'll go over my update during the the agenda items for coronavirus relief fund. Otherwise, we continue to operate as we have been at the county. Thank you.
All right, very good. All right, Government Center. Who's taking that, Sheila?
I will, thank you. Item A, we have Mariah here from ISG, and also, I'm sorry, we have Dan from iSpace, correct? Thank you. Item A, consider awarding furniture contract for McLeod County Government Center to iSpace Environments of Minneapolis, Minnesota in the amount of $902,099.44 with funds from the Special Revenue Budget 25-807. Furniture package sealed bids were due on September 2, 2020 at 1:00 p.m. The county received one sealed bid, which was opened on September 2, 2020 at 2:15 p.m. at the McLeod County Courthouse Boardroom. If you have any questions, they are here to answer them. And also Commissioner Kruger was present at that bid opening.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess my only question is that the bid was within the guidelines of our budget and what we're expecting, is that correct?
Yes, the bid we received was actually for all items originally specified. It came in under budget, so we have everything that we are looking to receive there.
Okay, very good.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
And actually, Mariah, it's quite significantly under budget, which is a good thing, so.
Quite a
and
bit.
I know, I got an email that Tiffany Eggert, that's our local tie, and I'm kind of proud of that you worked with her, and she wasn't able to be here today.
Correct.
But, there was only one bid, but it was the reputation of their quality and their bidding is really what helped them get that. I mean, some other companies just didn't want to bid it because they knew they couldn't compete.
Absolutely. As you can see, iSpace has a good working relationship with your county already. They have other projects that they're working on as we speak. I think, receiving feedback from a lot of the other participants that we had asked to participate in the bid, they just thought with the relationship that was already provided and the quality, they didn't expect they could come in under our asking price.
And just finishing that, and that's a very good thing for us, so.
It's a very good thing for us, yes.
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Tiffany, could you tell us what the original estimate for the furniture package was going to be?
It would have been 1 million.
1
1 million?
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
All right, anything else? Well, we knew it in the beginning that we'd have to furnish it, so I guess that's where we're at.
Mr. Chair, I'd move the approval of the furniture contract.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for your work. All right.
Thank you.
Looks like, Sheila, if I read this right, you have Public Works.
I am. John Brunkhorst is not available today. Public Works, item A, consider approval of quote for a new Trimble S7 robotic total station and accessories from Frontier Precision of Waite Park, Minnesota for a state contract price of $27,459.80, including trade-in discounts for old equipment with costs from the highway construction budget. This unit replaces a 15-year plus outdated unit and is used by the engineering division for surveying. Public Works considered renting these units for approximately $3,000 per month, but determined purchasing would be more cost-effective. This is in the 2020 engineering capital budget.
Mr. Chair, with the numbers we have, it looks like it makes more sense to buy it than rent it. I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item B, consider award of CP 20-000-03 bituminous overlay project on County State Aid Highway 16 from Trunk Highway 7 to North County Line and CASA 5 from CASA 16 to CASA 2 to Dunnick Incorporated of Princeburg, Minnesota, with a low bid of $489,954.35 with funds from the highway construction budget. 4 other bids were received. Public Works believes this is a good bid and recommends award.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the award of the contract.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And Mr. Chair, I would just note that your engineer is at condemnation hearings
Yep.
with one of my assistants, and we were last week as well. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Is Matt coming? for the
I'm
act-
Matt today as well.
Okay. You're doing a wonderful job. Well, Matt, go ahead.
Thank you. Information technology, item A, consider approval of additional components for QLIS for an additional cost of $2,400 for 1 year with funds from the information technology budget. Additional components include single sign-on integration, SMS survey, which is a text message survey that we can use to follow up with users of the QLIS system, and a live dashboard, which would be used not only by the employees accessing the system, but this is where we would be able to run you reports to show the utilization of the system. These additional components will provide improved functionality through single sign-on and help improve customer experience through feedback and reporting. QLIS was originally approved on August 4, 2020 for a cost of $11,500. We did know that we would ask you for this later and didn't ask for it originally because we needed it quoted afterward. So this was part of the functionality that we explained to you of the system when we originally asked for the purchase.
Okay. Any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
out of my age, that's quite an acronym, QLIS, but I have checked into this a little bit, and I would move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Well, you're not Hannah because she's here, so.
I'll be myself
There's
today.
Matt.
And then Matt's here, so you lied.
Good morning.
Good morning.
For employee relations, consider approval for a temporary $300 per month stipend for the Tech Specialist 2 position in the Recorder's office while they take on additional duties due to a colleague on medical leave since August 18th, 2020, to be paid with the last payroll of each month during September, October, and November 2020.
And just so it's clear, the county board is prohibited from making any increase in pay for past work. So it's for work from this date forward, but the pay according to what's in the proposal.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
we took that into consideration when Hannah wrote the request and adjusted it accordingly.
And I had shared this with Hannah and with Sheila prior.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. So
Mr.
we're in
Chair.
line with everything that, excuse me, we're in line then?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Very good. Ron, go ahead.
Move to approve.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take our calendars. Rich?
Okay, that was quick. Since the last meeting, we had the workshop after the meeting, had a personnel meeting, a joint personnel meeting, about 8 people there, went through some of the situations that we're facing with both personnel being able to find new employees and keep past ones, so we're working on that issue. Prime West meeting and the following day by Zoom. Also had a SWAC meeting, met with Sumter Township, a JD 19 Sibley McLeod meeting, did some emergency repair of some culverts on that ditch system along with redetermination of benefits. On the 10th, had a busy day with Community Health Board by Zoom and the AMC Fall Conference, so that was a full day. AMC Fall Conference, a lot of discussion on across the state on election procedures, how different areas are handling the election differently, and a lot of conversation about the mail-in ballots and mail ballots in general. Some information on how to work with in a deficit environment that we will be working with through setting budgets and working with the state, and hopefully that our state legislature doesn't feel that their inflection of this CARES money is going to be, that we're padding our budgets to use that up, that this is money that was needed to take care of what we have right now, not in the future. Some information on local wetland replacement, the cost and the availability of some of that wetland and some of the rules and so forth with the DNR and the 404 program. And I also sit on the General Government Committee, and so Friday we had our first General Government Committee meeting through AMC, and a lot of information on how we will set up our general policy for the coming year for recommendation for the legislature. And that brings me up to today, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Paul?
I've attended our last workshop, JD 19 and Gaylord. The ditch system is going through redetermination of benefits. However, there are a couple of crossings that have some substantial safety concerns that we felt would need to be replaced immediately. And then as far as the rest of the cleanout, most likely be something that will happen for next summer, next fall, after the redetermination of benefits is completed. Our CRF committee met, as well as budget committee last week. That's it.
All right. The workshop's been covered, personnel meeting's been covered, and yes, we have some particular positions we need to address and how we recruit and retain those. Department head meeting, and then the SWAC meeting for me. Also some phone calls with Tacoma and Hutch Township. Took me up till today. Ron?
All right. Well, thanks, Mr. Chair. Since our last board meeting, just like everyone else, we participated in the workshop following the board meeting. On September 3rd, we had a Prime West meeting. One of the situations there is the expansion counties, the 11 counties that want to join Prime West, have to go through the procurement process with DHS at the state level. DHS, has finally determined that they won't be able to do the procurement until 2021, possibly 2022, and so the expansion counties will not be eligible for full participation in Prime West until possibly 2023. So that's a little disappointing that we can't expand the business of protecting our medical care for our constituents across our 24 member counties, but that's where we are today. We had the SWAC meeting, talking about various situations there. Things are looking good with our recycling systems. On the 10th, the McLeod Sibley Community Health Board met, talking about various issues and working through some of the COVID response on the multi-county level, and that everything is proceeding as expected there. On the 11th, we had Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Joint Powers Board. The unique thing with the Jobs and Training Service is that when the economy is good, our budget is reduced with the high unemployment rates now. The budget, the cash inflow to provide services to the unemployed has grown substantially this year. And so anyone needing employment services want to be sure that they utilize the Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Service. Yesterday afternoon, I participated in a Zoom meeting with the AMC Health and Human Services Committee. We are getting ready. It's the fall policy conference, as Rich alluded to, and working on policies to present to the working with DHS and presenting those issues to the legislature next year when they come back into session. So that is it, Mr. Chair.
Doug?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I also did the workshop after our last meeting, on the 2nd, I had North Fork watershed, one plan policy meeting. Really nothing to report there, just aligning costs to the participants in the watershed. That afternoon was the furniture bid opening that we talked about earlier. On the 3rd, we had our CRF committee meeting, which after we looked at the applicants. After that, Sheila and I, our administrator, did a KGLB interview. And that afternoon, I had Lower Minnesota, one watershed, one plan. That is just a policy meeting also. That's just in its inception, so we're just, everything's going well. We appointed our contractors, or I should say our engineers. And on the 8th, we had a department head meeting, followed by a SWAC meeting. And on the 10th, I did the agenda review. On the 11th, the budget committee. On the 14th, yesterday, I sat in on AMC. I'm on a policy committee there on environment and natural resources, and I'm not even sure anymore between Commissioner Ray and myself which committee we're on. But I sat through that, and I'm just going to comment that I'm really disappointed on some of the way this AMC stuff is going. Maybe it was just my committee, but there's such a metro influence, and politics are entering this so hard. What I had to sit through in a couple of those meetings, my head almost exploded. But I'm waiting for our Minnesota Rural County Caucus to meet here on, I don't have it right, well, it's coming up in the next few days, so I'm really interested. I've been following the emails, and I like their direction, but we're yoked to the AMC. But I'm just voicing my displeasure. I realize they're a tool for us to work with, but it's hard for some of this to really, for me to soak into. And then I just want to comment, we have our final hearing coming up on September 22nd on JD8. So I would encourage anybody involved with JD8 that they attend that final hearing, which will be at the fairgrounds at 2 p.m. And I'd like to really work at getting that closed out, getting our expenses in line, so and figure out how we're going to do this so we can get into the bonding procedure of this ditch. That brings us up to today. Thank you.
Sheila, anything to add calendar-wise?
No, Mr. Chair, thank you.
All right. Who would like to take item A? Mike, do you want to take that?
I can. We had a closed meeting about a month ago in which we discussed the possibility of bringing a breach of contract action against Green Forest Recycling Resources out of Brainerd, Minnesota, and went over with you the pros, the cons, the losses that were suffered by their breach of contract, and you asked that it be tabled until today. So that's why we are here. If you authorize me, I will be bringing an action on your behalf against Green Forest Recycling, and it'll be a total amount being sought will be approximately $900,000.
All right. What are the wishes of the board?
Mr. Chair, I'll fill in a couple blanks here. I think what started out as a contract with great intentions finished because what we felt was a complete failure of cooperation, safety, and accountability by this company. And we have had to do some changes because of that. However, we still are able to maintain the goals of being able to keep materials out of the landfill, offer a recycling program, and we're still the only county in the state, to our knowledge, that is able to function the program without solid waste fees on property taxes. We still process thousands of tons of source-separated and single-sorted material. We still have an extremely successful HHW program, but at this time, I feel that we do not have a choice but to pursue the company that seemed to have failed on our part in holding up their contract. So I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I'd just like to echo what Commissioner Wright just said. I personally, we were personally involved and obviously the environment for recycling changed over the period of time that we had Green Forest working with us, but we did every opportunity. I personally, and I know Commissioner Wright did the same, we tried every way possible to make this work, and it just didn't work. So I guess the only positive thing I can say, the changes we made are working. So again, I had seconded.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, item B.
Item B, consider approval of the appointment of an outside member to the Health and Human Services Committee. We've been working with the merit system, which we are required to have handle our recruitment for Health and Human Services. And through that process of trying to exit from the merit system to have a cost savings to the county, because as you know, our human resources has grown within the last 3 years, and we handle the recruitment internally. So what they're doing as a service through the merit system, which costs us money every year as a county, is the same as what we're doing as a county. However, there are requirements for exit of the merit system. One of them is to have an external member on your Health and Human Services Committee. And so we are asking you today to consider approving the appointment of an outside member, but not asking you to approve a specific individual, but rather to change the structure of that committee.
Question.
Yes.
How would you go about filling that external member slot? Would it be open to the public? Would it take place when?
I don't know. I wanted to first ask if we could change the structure of the committee and then proceed. We have a new Health and Human Services Director, Barrett Spores, who's here with us today and gave us the update on COVID. And I wanted to make sure she's an active part of that process. So we will figure that out and ask for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So is this something, I guess I will admit that this is something that I'd have some more questions about that I'm not prepared for today. Is this something that we could talk more in our Health and Human Services meetings and talk more about that, or is there a timeline that we need to meet with this?
We can. This is to meet statute for the requirements of recruitment, so we can table this and talk about it another time if you would like.
Okay, I won't table it yet because otherwise that'll shut everything down, but Ron, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Sheila, what would the timeline be on this in terms of when do we exit the merit system and when do we onboard an external member of the committee?
We've been working on exiting the merit system since last year. It takes a year to exit, and so that would be at the end of this year.
Okay.
And then we would be able to begin operating with the single recruitment system in January 2021. We were hoping to have the merit system come out for a review of the remainder of the items that we had to finish up, which this is one of them, in October. And Hannah is working to set up that appointment, but they didn't know their availability yet. It's changed quite a bit with COVID. They haven't been able to come out and meet with us, so everything has had to be held virtually. But we submitted the exit request in, I believe, December 2018.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I just think we have some more questions with it, so.
Mr. Chair, again, it states consider approval. I guess I have no trouble with considering it, but we have to have more information to totally approve it and see how it affects budgets and whatever. But if it's part of requirements, that it has to have a strong consideration. So I don't know just how to proceed. I'm with you. I don't like to table it. But how do we move from here?
Well, Sheila, if we can still meet the requirements and revisit it in October, is that fair?
There's no problem with us bringing it back to the first meeting in October. We can still complete everything else that we need to do for the exit, so.
All right, so I'll move to table it to October 6th. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. We'll bring you more detail.
Thank you.
Just a historical note, when I started back in '82, we had 2 outside members on the Health and Human Services Committee.
Okay, very good. All right.
Mr. Chair, before we leave that subject, then how did that composition look? What type of outside people? I mean, was just strictly citizens or that type of?
They were citizens, yes.
Okay.
County residents.
I didn't mean.
Didn't have any special expertise.
Thank you.
Okay.
Seems like I vaguely remember that were part of sitting in on some of the board meetings and.
Very good. All right, item C, we have an update on Sheriff Raymond. Sheila, would you read a letter, please?
Thank you. Sheriff Raymond has given us a letter this morning. He has decided to retire, and he has written a letter for all of you, which will go to his staff right away after this meeting. But September 15th, McLeod County Board of Commissioners and the citizens of McLeod County. It is with a heavy heart that I am retiring from my position with McLeod County. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve you as your sheriff for the past 14 years. My last day will be September 22nd, 2020. I am retiring because I suffered a stroke on August 30th, 2020. The stroke affected the right side of my body and affects my ability to perform the essential functions of my job, such as holding a firearm, driving a vehicle, and performing the many other basic tasks that are necessary to properly function as a law enforcement officer in the community. In consultation with my doctors and with the recognition that I cannot physically perform the tasks required to serve as a law enforcement officer in your community, my retirement is both prudent and necessary. I recommend that the McLeod County Board appoint Chief Deputy Timothy Langenfeld as sheriff for the remainder of my term. Chief Deputy Langenfeld has worked in close relationship with me for the past 14 years. He has the necessary knowledge and experience to effectively lead the McLeod County Sheriff's Office and has my full confidence. I am thankful to the people of McLeod County for their support and friendship in my position to serve as a peace officer in the community. God bless you. Scott Raymond.
Thank you. On behalf of the county board, we wish Scott a speedy recovery and thank you for your service. But now we have some things we need to take care of. Mike, would you go over that for us, please?
Yeah. I have 3 different parts, and I'll take them in any order that you wish. One is what your options are from this point forward. The second part is the history, and the third part is recommended action that you take here today.
Well, let's
Should we start with the action?
do what we have to do today.
Okay. What you're required to do is to accept his resignation, and I would recommend that you do that with appreciation for his service and make that effective 9/22/20 at 2400. The effect of that is that the position is then vacant, and I have given you all a copy of Minnesota Statute 375.08. Once the position is vacant, then the chief deputy has all the powers that the sheriff would normally have had. So that is how the continuity of service will go. So that, then what your options are is to either appoint somebody without opening it up for applications, or to open it up for applications. What your history has been. There was a vacancy when Carmen Osley retired as county recorder in 2002. She retired in August. There were 5 months left in her term. Her chief deputy was appointed to fill out the remainder of her term. That chief deputy did not run for the position. The filings had already closed. And Lynette Schrupp ran for the office and won the election. The auditor treasurer was vacant when Cindy Schultz resigned to become our county administrator. That was in 2018. Her chief deputy was appointed to fill out the remaining, it was in April, so it would have been about 8 months of her term. And then Ms. Kurtzwig ran for the office. The filing opened in May of that year. And the other example was me. Back in 1987, Pete Castle started his term in January. He retired or resigned effective about May 1st, so about 4 or 5 months into his term. And the county board then opened it up for applications and filled it like any other position would have been filled. I applied for the position. I was fortunate enough to be appointed and filled out the remainder of that term. There's the practical side of it in that filling a position is going to take you 3 to 4 months if you open it up for application. And so with the recorder and the auditor treasurer, that just wouldn't have been practical to open it up and then have somebody serve for a month or 2 months or 5 months. So that's what your history has been. Again, the recommended action is to accept the resignation with appreciation for his service effective 9/22/20 at $2,400.
All right. I will make a motion to that effect. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Again, thank you, Scott, and we hope for a speedy recovery. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would also voice my appreciation to the service that Sheriff Raymond has given the county for the past 14 years. Very much appreciated, and he will be very much missed. Thank you very much, Scott.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I would also like to echo those sentiments that Sheriff Raymond has served McLeod County very effectively, and I wish him a speedy recovery, that he may enjoy his retirement years and enjoy the benefits of that he's duly earned as a law enforcement officer in the state of Minnesota, and I wish him well. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I also would like to recognize his 14 years of service and wish him Godspeed to a full recovery.
I'll just echo all the same comments of everybody else. There's no need for me to repeat. It's a great service he offered our county.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. What's next, Mike?
Then the next step is that as of September 23rd, 2020 at 12:01 a.m., the Chief Deputy Tim Langenfeld will have all the powers of the sheriff. What I would recommend that the board do now is to put this matter back on your agenda for consideration, your first meeting or your next meeting, and then you can decide whether or not you wish to appoint, whether you wish to open it up for applications, or whatever you want to do. It's your call what happens.
So you're recommending that we put it on the agenda for October 6th and make that decision there?
Yeah, and I had been queried by one of the commissioners just prior whether or not it was an option to have a special election. The answer is no. You are the electorate in the absence of an election, and so if there's a retirement or a vacancy during the term of an elected official, you are the electorate.
Excuse me, Doug, does it need a motion to set it for the 6th or just a consensus?
Whatever you want. You don't need a motion.
What is the wishes of the board? That seems to make sense to me, but what is?
It makes sense to me, Mr. Chair, too, but do we need a motion now to grant him the powers of?
That automatic.
It's automatic?
I have handed you a copy of the statute, and once there is a vacancy in the office, it's automatic.
Okay.
So, and what that's intended to do is, let's say that somebody were to die while they're in office. It's just like the president, when the president was assassinated back in, when Kennedy was in '63, I believe it was, his vice president became president right away. It's the same type of concept.
Mr. Chair, I would go ahead and recommend also we move this to our first meeting in October.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we'll take that as a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And if any of you have any questions about the process or wish me to be involved in any other way, I'd be happy to do so. Thank you.
Tim, do you need anything from us right now? All right, good luck. All right,
Good luck, Tim.
all right, I lost my spot here.
D.
It's a big one. Item D, clean.
Okay, I can take this one. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to plug this in so that you'll see it on your monitors.
Colleen, could you
Yeah.
pull the mics towards you a little bit, so I know they're kind of pointed up in the air
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
okay. I'll
Get skinny.
There's a button there. I got it, I think.
It's up, I got mine, but I got a no signal anyway, so.
Want to see this one, Doug?
It's on. Mine's the same way.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Technical difficulty.
You need us to get out of your way for a little bit,
Should we
or?
take, can we take?
Yeah, we can take 5 minutes, that's fine.
Thank you.
All right, we'll have a 5-minute recess.
Okay, thank you.
Ready? Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, grab those.
I'm-
There, they're working. Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm asking for your consideration of the approval of the 2021 preliminary tax levy. This levy needs to be set on or before September 30th, 2020. I have brought with today 6 different options for you to choose from, starting with a 1% increase, which is $24,786,527, up to a 6% increase. So they're ranging from $24,786,527 to $26,013,582.
Okay, just a reminder, we need to set it by the 30th. This is our last meeting before that, not that we can't hold another meeting if necessary. But today is the day if we don't choose to have another meeting. So there's some information on our screens. Any questions for Colleen? We've had some workshops. Let's talk this out.
Is this a preliminary where what they finally set cannot be higher than what they set here?
Correct. It can only go down when we set the final levy in December.
So this is not a final action?
Right, this is just the preliminary budget.
Thank you.
So this is the summary page of the budget and how it's coming in. And if you look at how it's coming in for the general fund, we'd be using over $1 million in fund balance. And then in the road and bridge, we're using $3.4 million. And then other than that, it's just solid waste using a little fund balance and special revenue account, and then capital projects. However, the ones on the bottom do not affect the levy. So what I wanted to point out with the road and bridge is that $3.4 million in fund balance is for local option sales tax projects. So that money was already brought in 2020, January 2020, with bonding. So even though it looks like they're using fund balance, it's actually fund balance we plan to use. So the only issues I would have is with using the 1.1 million out of the general fund. So that is why I brought more than one option. This option is the 1% increase. So that's why I wanted to show you other options besides that and how it would affect some taxes. But before that, I'm going to just highlight some pages that had some major changes. So the administration revenue budget has a decrease of $315,000. And what that is interest, because as we've spent some of our funding, our interest has gone down along with the interest rates have taken a plunge. So that's on page 2. Information systems, we are using a little bit more in expenses, and that is for maintenance agreements along with server and infrastructure upgrades. So that's page 2. Hopefully it's on your screens there as well.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Colleen, can you increase the size of this just slightly? It's a little blurry on our monitors here. Just hit the little plus sign there if you could. That's better. Thank you.
Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
One more would help.
A little more? Okay.
Sensitive mouse.
Here, let's make it so we can really read it. Okay. So that was the only 2 on that page that I really wanted to point out as a major change. And then on page 3, fairgrounds, we have an increase in the fairgrounds, and that is for some repairs, roof repairs, seal coating, some electrical panels need to be upgraded in the grandstand area, and there's some bathroom upgrades also budgeted in that line item.
Okay. Mr. Chair. Colleen,
Yes.
Can you back up to that page? On 116, Health and Human Services, the change in revenue and expenditures there from 20 to 21. Can you explain that just a little bit? Or?
Well, because we're moving to the government center, so that building is going to be no longer accessed.
Okay.
But we will have expenses for Health and Human Services portion of the building so that it can be charged back to DHS.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And other than that, there isn't really a lot other than wages and benefits that have affected the budget. So even if you look through the pages, you'll see large dollar amounts, but it's wages and benefits, so there isn't really a way for cost savings there. So I'm going to skip through the rest of the pages and go to how this affects the taxpayer. So I'm going to first I'm going to show you page 14. And what this is this is showing you what we've done for levy increases for the last 10 years. And in 2011, we had a negative increase to the levy. And then for 4 years after that, we had a 0 increase to the levy. And from 16 to 20, we've been gradually trying to catch up with that. So if we would have just done an average levy increase each year instead of having a negative and holding it at 0, it would have been a 2.74 levy increase. So that's kind of the trend. If you don't increase the levy, it's going to catch up with you at some point. So that's kind of why I wanted to show you the history. And then I want to go to the next screen, which will show you.
Colleen, before you move that, I'd just like to emphasize that, it's just for anybody watching, that's kind of, I mean, we went through it last year when we set the levy, that you know, we're giving raises and we're doing different things and didn't follow along. My words, but that's what kind of got us started on this.
Yeah,
deal.
so
And I'd
from
just
18
like to
to.
emphasize that people take a good look at that page, because we're catching up with all those zeros is what we're doing.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
then, is there anything else on that page? Okay, then I want to go to the next page, and it kind of shows how this would affect the taxpayer. So I'm going to just get rid of that, so it's a little bigger. So what I did here is I did an estimated market value increase of 9%, because I did an average. I picked out 10 properties, and that's about what the average increase is in the value of the homes. So I did a 9% increase there, and then with the levy increase, it's showing you how it affects the taxpayer. So let's say you have a residential home valued at $400,000. For 2021, if we did a 6% increase, that would be an increase to their taxes of $248. And then if you follow across, it goes down by 5% to $223. And then the next one at 4%, $198, at 3%, $173, 2% is $148, and so on. Let me move that over so you can see. And a 1% change would be $123. And that is just the county's portion of the tax. So obviously, if there's school districts and other things, that wouldn't be included there.
So Colleen, just to get this straight, in your example, you've increased the market value by 9%.
Yes.
That's in your formula, which actually has more to do with the increase in the levy. So,
Yes.
yep.
And in the past, we haven't put that market value increase in, but I think this is more of a real picture of how it's going to affect their taxes. So with that, at the top it shows, here's what the levies would be. So for 2021 with a 6%, it would be the $26,013,582, and then down to a 1%, $24,786,527.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
If I may just open the discussion here. Colleen, thank you and the Budget Committee for working all of these details out. In the discussion, you'd mentioned that the figure of like $1.1 million from our current levy total to the 2021 budget is a $1.1 million increase. Is that correct?
It would be a $1.1 million, yeah, where we'd be using the fund balance. Let's go back. I'll go back to the first page in the summary so you can see that.
Okay. The reason I ask this question is psychologically, I like to see a balanced budget, where your revenue meets your expenditures, and again, I reiterate that the Budget Committee has worked through the numbers. What are the real expenses for the county, and so if we were to get to a balanced budget, I'm guessing it would be about a 4.5% increase.
You would need almost 6%. It was like 5.89%, so that's why I had this 6% option as well.
Okay. All right. So that we have that premise to start from.
Correct.
And anything less than that percentage increase would be spending fund balances then?
Correct.
Correct. All right. Thank you.
All right. Anything else, Colleen?
Colleen, did you happen to run a number without a market value increase at all, or not?
I didn't. I could.
Okay. It just, we need to be very clear in that story, that increase, that accounts for the value going up.
The value of
Now,
their home going up.
On the other hand, if everybody's value went up 9%, then that increase wouldn't necessarily be there. You have to have one of the other classifications drop in order for somebody to have to pay more.
Correct.
So it's really about how you want to tell that story, but it's good that you brought that market value increase into play. If it takes just a very short amount of time to see what a zero market value increase is, that actually shows what that levy increase is as a picture.
All right, any questions? Do we have the information to act on it today, or would we like to
You, Mr. Chair, I'll lead this out. This is that awkward time that comes around every September, and we don't like it, but it goes with the job of having to set that max levy number. And of course, in December, we have at least the option to go down. Today, I'm pursuing the number of $25,768,171. I'm really trying to stray away from percentages, but we have to say it. That is the 5% bracket. My reasons for going there, I know we have a lot of economic uncertainty to deal with, and we would all love to pull that smaller number out. However, utilizing fund balance at this stage, in my opinion, I feel is not wise, and I definitely do not want to handicap future boards like we have been with having to see higher numbers to make up for today. We've had to see 7s, 9s. Last year we started out at 15 and found a way to, I used a different way to fund our highway department, and we were able to get that number down. But we still have to try to find an amount that is reasonable. Not in favor of fund balance. I'm hoping that in December, we can find reason in numbers to work that lower. One thing that we really need to get to someday is stability in these increases so that it's not a roller coaster ride. And the only way to get there is to see what truthful numbers are today, realizing that using fund balance, we pay for it someday down the road, and then a board has to sit there and make even harder decisions than we have in front of us. So I am going to pursue that number that I read off, and that is my motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would echo, I'm on the budget committee, so I guess I've been looking at these. I'll just echo what Commissioner Wright said, and I'll add a couple more reasons. I will use the percentage. That still that gets us close to a balanced budget, and it can always go down, and I'm also very skeptical right now with what's all going on with the COVID thing. I just don't want to get into fund balances. We might very well need them in 21 or even maybe 22, because I think there's going to be repercussions from everything that's going on here. So it might be again, we can go down, and we may, but I think it's going to be important to carry that fund balance. I guess that's all I really have to say. It's tough. I realize that.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I'll weigh in after sitting in through the AMC meetings on Thursday. This is going to be a very difficult decision. I guess I would support the $25,768,171 simply because that is a responsible thing to do at this point in time. We don't know where this economy is going to lead us down the road in the next 6 months or 12 months or maybe a little farther. It's going to take a little longer to recoup to the areas that we were last March. Had this pandemic not hit us, we could be looking at a completely different set of numbers here. This is the responsible thing to do. It's not what we want to do, but we are not dipping very far into our funds at this point, allowing those funds to take us through what we may need in the future if we continue to have a sour economy for a while. Thanks.
Yes, Ron.
Mr. Chair, and, this, as we alluded to earlier, this is a difficult decision for us because this affects the personal finances of all the residents of our county. And with the uncertainty of their economic times, hopefully in 2 months we can see some light at the end of the tunnel that we're pulling out of a recession. But I'm thinking of the business establishments around the county that are not able to function at their total capacity and their ability to earn an income and be able to pay their taxes. I think it's prudent of us as a county board to look at this 5% levy increase, but also to be cognizant of the fact that our taxpayers are struggling too. they have to balance their budgets as well. And so I hope in the next 2 months we can, see some economic recovery, some positive light, and it's, it's not all doom and gloom, but, every sector of our economy is affected, and those that are working, those that are unemployed, those that are trying to run a business, they're looking at these numbers as well and saying, how can McLeod County ask for a 5% levy increase? And, it's just, as I said, it's prudent for us to make this move at this time, but hopefully we can see some benefit in economic recovery that we can back down on this number on the final levy approval coming December. Thank you.
And I think we need to keep looking at our numbers too, and where we can potentially cut. And this isn't done, right? We have 2 months to go, and we can lower it, and I think we need to. So, any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item E, Sheila?
Thank you. Item E, consider approval of Coronavirus Relief Fund Committee recommendation for disbursement of funds up to the amounts recommended below upon receipt of documentation of qualifying expenses within the program guidelines. If qualifying expenses are less than the approved amount, the lesser amount will be distributed upon approval. The reason I'm reading that so specifically, we've been going over this for a couple of months now. We know that this is a short turnaround period with a lot of responsibility for the dollars that were allocated to McLeod County. We've been working diligently with the cities and townships that have partnered with us and those that haven't. So the list of people that I have here for you to approve are not the only applications received. These are the only ones that we were able to completely qualify for up to that amount. Some of them may be listed at an amount where they have not provided enough receipts to add up to that amount, and we will still be working with those organizations to complete that. As of our last meeting, we had received 42 applications for these funds. We have received more now. The McLeod County Business and Nonprofit requests are listed in your agenda and in the packet. The county education partners who have applied for their dollars are listed as well. And then the city of Brownton has us managing their dollars, and they have an allocation that they have approved as well that we would like reviewed. The total disbursement amount recommended by the CRF committee for this round of disbursements is up to $255,000, $255,924.92. Business and nonprofit organizations shown above are being recommended for approval up to the grant amount shown from McLeod County and the participating townships and cities. So upon your approval for those receiving these funds, the business and nonprofit organizations shown would receive a payment of up to 50% of the approved amount. A second McLeod County funds distribution will occur November 2020. At that time, the approved grant recipients will receive up to the remaining 50% of their approved McLeod County grant amount, dependent upon calculation of remaining available funds and qualified expenses. The reason that we're recommending it this way is to assure that these funds can be spread more throughout McLeod County. So let's say that you see a person above who's applied for $20,000 and you decide to approve that $20,000. Upon the approval, if they have the qualified expenses for that $20,000, we would have the accountant give them a $10,000 check. Then in November, we'll review all grant funds, look at the availability, and give you a calculation on all of those that have been approved already, and distribute up to the remaining 50%. So if there were $10,000 left for them, that's what they would receive. Recipients of the township and city funds, so those townships and cities that have us managing their funds, they'll receive the 100% payment upon approval by their township or city. But it first has to be approved by the McLeod County Board due to the fiscal responsibility of the funds. Education partners who are approved for receipt of their allocation through the McLeod County Grant Funds will also receive 100% of that payment upon approval of the recommendation to the McLeod County Board. It's really important to note that anyone who were to receive funds has to submit all of their paperwork by December 1st. So let's say you don't have the money up front, you apply for it, and then you receive $10,000 to implement something that was approved. If they don't do that by December 1st, they have to send the money back to the county by December 5th. So this is all being very clearly communicated with them upon distribution of those funds. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions for Sheila?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Sheila, if a recipient, an approved recipient, moves through this process and subsequently has further expenses, can they apply for additional funding?
Thank you for asking that. Yes, that has been a question we've received. We have encouraged them to apply, and then, yes, they can apply for up to whatever is allowed for their category, which typically the $20,000 per organization.
Okay.
I have another thing that some people have asked that's really important. I won't name any names, but we had a COVID survivor in McLeod County call, and we've had some good discussions because he was out of work for 5.5 weeks. His employer did not do the FFCRA, so the leave, so that he could be paid during his absence, which we are trying to help give him some resources to help figure that out because he may be eligible. But our funding is not set up to pay individuals. And some may have concern about that, even though we haven't heard about it yet. There's reason, because, like I said, the fiscal responsibility lies on McLeod County for the subrecipients. So that is why we've allocated $250,000 to our community partners that would be able to give those people funds. So we are encouraging those community partners that handle some assistance to apply for these dollars too, and we have not received any applications from them to date.
Mike, can we take them all at once, I hope?
Yes.
Thank you. Any questions?
So, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just a clarification under the item K, under the City of Brownton. This is funds for the preschool. It's not going to the City of Brownton, but the City of Brownton is the mechanism that's distributing it.
Good question, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
So these funds that you see allocated from City Brownton are from their funds that we're managing for them. And in the application, we don't have the detail in here, of course, but yes, they're for that preschool to be able to accommodate distance learning, and I'm very happy to see that. Our cities and townships are working really hard to figure out how they can spend those dollars in an approved way. And please visit our website or call us, and if you have a business or a nonprofit organization, and apply for these funds. Our application process is pretty simple compared to some of the others, and we have plenty of room to keep reviewing those applications.
Okay. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
One more thing. Sheila, last week you provided me with some flyers, some handouts that I can give to businesses and so forth, organizations. You want to talk about that just a little bit?
Yes, I will pull it up on my computer so I can look at that. Well, the majority of the commissioners received a packet. Some of us couldn't connect over the weekend, but I made some copies of a flyer to have our commissioners go out and talk to businesses. I'm really glad that people are calling them and asking questions, and we just want to make sure that everyone's getting the same set of information. So feel free to contact any of the commissioners if you want them to stop by and talk about what this program looks like. You can call me. We want to be able to help you and make sure that we answer your questions. You've had great questions. We've all been taking calls nights and weekends. That's a good time to call us because the rest of the day is spent working. But does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, the committee is doing a really good job of being fair to all applicants, and that is the number one thing for that committee to do. I think it's functioning well in such an odd new role for the county to be taking part in. I'll make a motion to approve these applications.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item F.
Thank you. Item F, consider approval of Saxon Fleet Services quote for 2020 Ford Transit Connect Wagon XL LWB for veteran services for a cost of up to $26,235 with funds from the McLeod County CARES Act Coronavirus Relief Fund. That is with the county allocation, obviously to accommodate the transport of veterans in McLeod County to receive medical services. Total costs include the base price plus tax for $25,035 plus a transportation cost estimate of up to $1,200. Thank you.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
the transportation vehicle is needed, and it fits the criteria as far as I can see, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. You'll continue to receive some of these requests throughout time. Obviously, it's very time sensitive, like we've discussed. And we have heard from some of the townships and cities that they're only planning to use a portion of their dollars. So the remaining dollars will come back to the county and we'll have to adjust as we go along. Item G, notification of McLeod Sibley Joint Drainage Authority. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, am I allowed to move on?
Yeah, please.
Okay, thank you. Item G, notification of McLeod Sibley Joint Drainage Authority final hearing on the repair project of Joint Ditch 8, McLeod Sibley. The Drainage Authority will hear public comment on the acceptance of the repairs in the McLeod County Fairgrounds Agribition Building at 840 Century Avenue Southwest, Hutchinson, Minnesota, on Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020 at 2:00 p.m. This will be the final hearing prior to closing out the repair project of Joint Ditch 8, McLeod Sibley.
Very good.
Item H, notification of McLeod Drainage Authority public meeting on the repair project of County Ditch 64. The Drainage Authority will hear public comment on the acceptance of quotes for the culvert replacement and downstream stabilization project in the McLeod County Fairgrounds Agribition Building, again at 840 Century Avenue Southwest, Hutchinson, Minnesota, on Monday, September 28th, 2020 at 1:00 p.m. Item I, notification of McLeod Drainage Authority public meeting to discuss repairs of County Ditch 32. The Drainage Authority will hear public comment on repairs and as constructed and subsequently improved condition, ACSIC, in the McLeod County Fairgrounds Agribition Building, again at 840 Century Avenue Southwest in Hutchinson, on Monday, September 28th, 2020 at 3:00 p.m. And finally, item J, notification of board workshop to be held following the board meeting on October 6th, 2020 at the Glencoe City Center in the senior room at 1107 11th Street East, Glencoe, Minnesota. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
before we go on any further, I guess I'd just like an opinion from the board. I'm not sure that any postcards went out for these drainage meetings. What is the rest of the board's thought on, it's a week at least on mine, and it just dawned on me while we were going through this that I'm wondering if we should send out cards.
I think you brought up a good point. I think we have no choice but to have these meetings kind of right on the front side of harvest for a lot of guys. And but we're always missing people at these meetings in order to make decisions. And so I think getting information out there to make sure that they notice when to be there, or if there's comment that they want to provide for us ahead of time, it's just going to help us make better decisions. So.
Right, and I just want to avoid my thoughts that there's no excuse. I mean, I don't like to put it that way, but they had every opportunity to be notified, and that would help, I guess.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think a little reminder is not a bad idea.
I'll get a hold of Connie and see if she can't get some cards out.
That would be for all
Well, yeah, I would
All three.
recommend that. I'm obviously more concerned about JD 8 right now, but it should be done for all of them.
Yep.
Good for all three of them, yes.
Okay, we are going to have a closed meeting regarding performance evaluation for the county assessor. We're estimating the meeting, or the closed portion of the meeting will last about 45 minutes. If there is any actionable items, we will, we obviously have to open the meeting at the end to recess, but if there's any actionable items, we'll take it at that point. It's unknown if there will be in that moment.
I don't think we read item J yet.
Oh, I thought we did. Did we take item J?
Oh, we
Okay.
did? Sorry.
It's okay. So with that, I will allow any open forum right now, or press relations at this point, and I will ask again at the very end, but anything, Karen, right now? Okay, Mike, anything?
Yes. Excuse me. Your county administrator was hired on September 17th of 2019 for a 2-year contract. You did a 6-month evaluation in March. I'm wondering what you would like as far as continuing evaluations of her and her position. We could either do it the end of November, first part of December, put it onto the calendar year, or whatever you would like.
I think the calendar year makes sense. Is that okay with the rest of the board?
Agreed.
Okay.
Okay, then I will coordinate that as I have in the past, if that's what your wishes are.
Please.
Very well.
Okay. Looking for a motion to go into closed session.
So, second.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer, second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.